Mental health matters. It matters for you personally. It matters in your family. It matters for your friends or your social group. When your mental health suffers, it becomes hard to enjoy life. We feel run down and we stop feeling that reward, and life just feels off balance.
Get your daily dose of motivation on the Motivational Moments with Michelle podcast. In Motivation with Michelle podcast, you'll get encouraging, uplifting, and life-changing wisdom that will transform your world at your fingertips, 24-hour a day. Get a fuller, deeper revelation of the tools you can implement to see incredible transformation in your life from Michelle Newstedter's powerful teachings. Tune in whenever you need to be edified, uplifted, or a dose of motivation, no matter where you are. Subscribe to Motivational Moments with Michelle podcast with Michelle Newstedter today on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or SoundCloud.
Hi there, and welcome to this Wednesday Word of Wisdom. My name is Michelle Newstedter, and today is Bell Let's Talk Day. Now, the whole point of Bell Let's Talk is to raise awareness about mental health. And I love what Bell's doing with this initiative, because not only are they trying to get people talking about mental health and working towards reducing stigma, showing people that they're not alone, but they're also trying to increase access to supports for mental health challenges as well. For everybody who shares their hashtag Bell Let's Talk, they will donate money to organizations that promote and support positive mental health. Now, we need to talk a little bit very quickly about what mental health even is, because mental health includes things like our emotional, our psychological, our social well-being, and mental health also impacts our physical well-being. It affects how we think, how we feel, how we act, the results that we're getting in our life. It helps determine things like how we handle stress, how we relate to people in our world, the choices that we make day to day. And it's really important that we put it at a very high priority in our life, because mental health impacts so many other areas of our life. It impacts how we show up at work, how we show up as a parent, how we show up as a spouse, how we engage in relationships with our friends, our coping mechanisms. It impacts our physical health, like I already said, because all those stress hormones in our body, they break things down. And yesterday I did a Facebook Live broadcast with Troy Reeves. And if you didn't get a chance to see that, I suggest you go back and take a look, because it was a fantastic conversation between the two of us, and with some very practical tools and strategies that you can use to help start improving your mental health. Now, we tend to almost use poor mental health and mental illness as interchangeably with one another, but they're not the same thing, right? A person can experience poor mental health for numerous reasons, right? We could have just an increased level of stress in our life. We could be experiencing ongoing stress in our world. There's times when, because of ongoing stress in our lives, all of a sudden we're experiencing, say, panic or anxiety that wasn't normal to our world in the past. Now, a person can experience poor mental health and not actually have a diagnosable mental illness. But also, somebody who has a mental illness can experience periods of physical, mental, social well-being, right? Positive mental health. So they don't necessarily go hand in hand all the time. We tend to focus more on our physical health, right? Because we get those physical ailments that we feel in our body. And so we go to the doctor to resolve them. But a lot of times our mental health gets put on the back burner. It gets seen as a lower priority. It's one of those things that we often won't spend or invest in anything over and above what our benefits would cover. And if we don't have them, we don't seek it out at all, because mental health is seen as a lower priority. Now, that being said, there's also limited access to some of those services too, especially this day and age where there's a lot more challenges when it comes to financially, say, making ends meet and being actually able to afford something like that. But there's a reason why they say, stress kills. It's because when we have those stressful moments, those stressful thoughts, our brain starts to constantly drip all those stress hormones right into our body. I talked about this last week on my Wednesday Word of Wisdom because I was getting you guys warmed up and introduced to the fact that today is Bell Let's Talk Day. And I really want to get us talking about improving our mental health. And when we start to improve our mental health, we can improve our physical health hand in hand with that. People will do things like they'll try to, like if the doctor prescribes something, they'll take that religiously. If the doctor tells them they need to walk every day, they will. Or if they have to have, say, quote unquote, an apple a day, they will do that because the doctor told them so. We need to take that same approach to our mental health. Just as we might work to keep our body healthy, we also have to work to keep our mind healthy. Thoughts are the way that we think about things, and it has a really big impact on our mental health. Changes in our thoughts often go along with changes in our mental health. When we are feeling great, it's easier to see life in a more positive way. When things are not going as well, when we don't feel as well, it's really easy to find ourselves trapped in that negative path of thinking. And when we do that, we actually start to filter out the positive things that are in our world. And we almost forget to even look at them. Now, I already mentioned how important our mental health is to our physical health. And we can actually see it in the shifts and changes that happen in our physical body that shift and change as our mental health either declines or improves. We'll get things like if we're we talk about tension headaches, right? Stress headaches, muscle aches and pains. When we are really stressed or anxious or depressed, we will have things like no appetite, or some people will stress eat on the other side of things. We can experience things like chest pain and inability to breathe, feeling like the whole world is just coming crashing down on us. Our heart might start racing, feel dizzy, feel lightheaded. We can even start to distance ourselves from the world around us and kind of shut down, right? Burn out. And then often what happens when our mental health starts to decline is that our behaviors shift too, right? We isolate, or we feel lack of motivation, so we stop trying. We don't do as many things as we were before. We find less pleasure or joy in things. And so we just stop doing them. We basically stifle any, say, creativity or enjoyment that we were having in our world. And that leads to certain results in our world that are usually not very conducive to success. And so when we start to recognize, hey, this isn't working for me anymore, then and only then will we actually start to do something different that might change the outcome that we're getting in our world. Our mental health is determined by patterns of thoughts, emotions, behaviors, reactions, like our environment. And also those things impact on our mental health as well. Mental health matters. It matters for you personally. It matters in your family. It matters for your friends or your social group. When your mental health suffers, it becomes hard to enjoy life. We feel run down and we stop feeling that reward, and life just feels off balance. Everybody can benefit from learning how to improve and protect their mental health. Like I said, today is Belle Let's Talk Day, and I really want to get the conversation rolling. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about mental health. Let's talk about that stress, that overwhelm, that anxiety, that depression. Let's talk about burnout. Let's talk about those things that are impacting you. So many times we minimize what we are going through and we chalk it up to, well, first world problems, right? But you know what? If it is important to you, if this is impacting your life, we need to talk about it. You are not alone, and your mental health matters. So today, get on social media, start these conversations, use the hashtag #BelleLet'sTalk. Let's shed some light. Let's create awareness. Let's be in this together.